Howdy Stalkers, patch 1.9 is finally here, but be warned, today's update is something slightly smaller than the regular major updates that we've received in the past. Today's update contains bug fixes, new loading screens and stability improvements, but included in this update is a free mission update called Seal Truth that will have players venturing to a new but also nostalgic location within the zone. I'll share my thoughts and opinions on today's update shortly, so make sure to stick around for that. But before we dive into all of the details, a quick disclaimer. I've been testing this update alongside other patch testers in the community over the past couple of weeks, so some of the footage that you're about to see will include some pre-release footage, but a big thank you to GSC for the opportunity to test out this update. Timestamps will also be available as today's video will contain a breakdown of the new mission, so if you don't want to have any of the storyline spoiled, you've been warned. Now let's get on into the details. So as mentioned, today's update contains some bug fixes, improvements under the hood such as stability improvements and new loading screens. GSC have also fixed an issue causing an overpopulation of strong mutant types in long campaigns, and fixed an issue where the mission Dark as a Dungeon would immediately cancel if the player had already reached the point of no return. So just to clarify, if anyone was wondering, today's update doesn't contain the planned Unreal Engine 5.5.4 update, nor the recently announced Cost of Hope DLC that was recently announced on March 26 during the Xbox Partner Preview event. However, if you'd like to find out more about the upcoming DLC and the UE 5.5.4 update, make sure to check out my video covering all of the info by clicking on the link on the top right hand corner of the screen. And I'll also leave a link to the patch notes for today's update in the description and a pinned comment below. Next, and probably a hot topic with any patch update, is A-Life improvements and will this update break my mods? Or should I just say mods in general? Firstly, when it comes to A-Life, unfortunately there doesn't seem to be any specific changes or tweaks to A-Life with this patch since the last time GSC addressed this. From what I've experienced myself through testing this, things seem to be somewhat the same in terms of enemy encounters, NPC encounters and interactions in general. The last update to A-Life definitely brought some good improvements, such as enemy and friendly NPCs taking over areas and moving in, and then vice versa, but there's definitely a lot of more work to be done in this area, so unfortunately with this patch nothing really has changed from what I've seen. Regarding mods, I have a bunch of mods on screen that I have been trying out and testing over the past couple of weeks that seem to be working with the 1.9 patch, so thankfully the majority of mods should work with this particular update, but I strongly recommend, and specifically for console players, that if you're experiencing any crashes upon installing the update and booting up the game, if you open up your web browser on your console and head over to mod.io and search for Stalker 2 and sign in, you should see a list of mods that you currently have installed, which you can then also use to unsubscribe from those mods, which will then remove any of the mods that you have installed from your console, which then should help get you back into the game. Alongside today's update also includes a free mission update that will have players working through a short quest that will bring players to a new but also returning location to the zone. For those who played Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, you'll find yourself venturing back to lab X18, located in the garbage region. This mission will need to be triggered by speaking with Diode, the technician located in the slag heap. He'll explain that he needs you to head to the lower levels of the factory to the X18 lab, where you'll need to retrieve an emitter from a device called the aggression suppressor. Not much, if anything, is explained as to why he needs it, but nonetheless, he explains that there's plenty of science stuff that we can get our hands on that we can sell to merchants as a form of payment. Upon arriving at the factory and heading down to the lower levels, you'll need to acquire an access code to enter the lab. These codes, like most codes you need to acquire across the zone, are split up into two pieces. The first piece, which can be located off the body of an unfortunate soul who was looking to bag some loot from the lab, and be warned, you will have to fight your way through a few snorks and possibly a couple of poltergeists in order to acquire the first piece, but rest assured, for those who played Shadow of Chernobyl, don't worry, you won't encounter any pseudo-giant jump scares. Then the second piece of the code will be eerily written in blood on the walls on the level above from where you find the first piece of the code, and when you have both pieces of the code, you'll need to enter into the keypad to the lab 2012. Upon entering the lab and heading upstairs, you'll encounter Professor Mikheyev, who explains that he's been working in the lab developing a device that causes cognitive distortions, but he needs your help in destroying it, so it doesn't end up in the hands of someone like Nestor. So at this point, you can probably already tell that you have a decision to make upon completion of the quest. Either destroy the emitter or take the emitter back to Diode. However, what you'll need to do is you need to make your way into the control room and shut down the electrical system in the lab. Fight your way back to the scientist by encountering a small group of zombies, and then once you've made your way back to Professor Mikheyev, you'll need to decide to either leave the emitter with him to destroy or encourage him to give you the emitter with a slight threat. But depending on whatever decision you make, it won't necessarily affect the end of mission payout from Diod, because as mentioned earlier, you won't receive any coupons or a cash payout. Now, the quick thing to mention, and on the topic of obtaining some sort of payout for your efforts, before you leave the lab and head back to Diod, there will be a loot cache located behind a locked room, located in the room where you found the professor. However, you'll need a key code to gain access to it. You'll actually find the code located on the wall adjacent to the room. However, there is a lot of numbers written on the wall, so you'll need to decipher the combination. But for your convenience, the code for the door will be 2865. And I need to say a big thank you to WTFSexyHeadphones, a fellow stalker, for helping me out with figuring out this combination. So if you can, make sure to head on over and show them some support and drop them a sub. Link to their channel will be left in the description and a pinned comment below. However, located in the room, you'll find a stash box and some old computer parts that you can take with you. You'll also find other computer parts scattered around the lab, so definitely make sure to pick them up whenever you find them, as upon selling them, you could potentially net yourself 13,000 coupons, so a decent enough payout for a short enough quest. But that's it, whatever decision you make, and upon speaking with Diod, brings the new mission to an end. So overall, my honest opinion is that the mission was solid. Nostalgia is what really drove it for me, returning to the X18 lab and wondering what comes next, and little hints and nods to Shadow of Chernobyl. But if I was someone who never played the first Stalker game and played through this mission, it might feel a little bit lackluster to some upon completion. But considering we've now seen actual footage of the upcoming Cost of Hope DLC and potentially how this will look in the Unreal Engine update, today's content update will more than likely leave you wanting much more that you can sink your teeth into. But considering patch testing for the first DLC and Unreal Engine update is still a while off, and that's if myself and other patch testers even get to test this, unfortunately this is everything for now. Bug fixes, stability improvements, and a new free mission, which yes is a little bit short, but definitely drives home a bit of nostalgia for longtime Stalker fans. Don't get me wrong, it was fun, I really did enjoy it, but considering what we have on the way with the Cost of Hope DLC and eventually moving to the Unreal Engine 5.5.4 update, today's update just leaves me wanting much more. To be honest, it's probably just from all of the excitement, which I know myself and a lot of us will have to contain for a while, but I really hope we might get something similar in size to today's update shortly after this, just to bridge the gap between now and the DLC release. However, that's everything for today. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on today's update below in the comments, and if you're new here and you found today's video helpful and informative, consider giving the video a like, and consider subscribing to the channel so you never miss out on future videos. As always, a big thank you to our channel members and subscribers for your continued support, it really means the world to me. If you didn't know, we're also sponsored by G Fuel, so if you'd like to save a little bit of cash on your next shipment, make sure to use code PENALPINEAPPLE at checkout to receive 30% off. Until next time, stay safe out there in the zone, welcome to Vault 93, and I'll catch you all in the next video.